Welcome to Championship Football Week 18 predictions. We're going to start with the early game, the Oxford United versus Ipswich Town. Of course, Ipswich in 5th and Oxford are down there in 22nd. You know, they did keep out of that zone for quite a while, didn't they? But with Sheffield United improving and Norwich people thinking they're going to improve, it's going to be a tough time for the teams down there with them, like Oxford, Portsmouth, Swansea, even possibly the likes of Blackburn. Let's have a look at Oxford's own win, draw, lose, draw. Last time out, it was a draw. Norwich 1, Oxford 1. Remember, we're just saying if Norwich will be improving. They didn't really in this one. Look, Norwich just about were ahead in most stakes here. Slightly ahead in their passing, slightly ahead in their ability to keep the ball, and they made a couple more shots than Oxford. But you know, this was a typical sort of bottom half game. The stats probably match up the game, to be quite honest. About 50-50 in possession, 15 shots to Norwich, 6 on target, 1 in the net. Not great. Oxford United, 12 shots, 4 on target, and 1 in the net. You know, they would have been slightly more happy with the stats, but it's not a game of stats, is it? This was a pretty even game, and it came out pretty even, 1-1. Probably about right, guys. Ipswich Town, though, win, draw, win, and haven't they suddenly started playing just a little bit better for me? And this side is showing why it really does have that Premier League class. So let's have a look at the game. The Hull City 0, Ipswich Town 2 game. And Ipswich were, well, yes, they were they were reasonably better at with their skillful passing of the ball. It was more enjoyable to watch Ipswich on the ball. Hull City were what I call fly by night, a little bit, let's just kick it and see if we can get there. But it was actually successful. Hull City were quite good on the ball. It was just Ipswich was slightly better. And again, it's another one of those games where Ipswich were just slightly better at shooting. 16 shots as against 11 for Hull City. 6 of those 16 on target for Hull City. 2 of the 11 on target for Hull. That was the entire game here. Hull City, getting up there and trying to shoot, but an awful lot of them were blocked. So pick your place in the net is where Hull City weren't quite getting it right. Had they actually done that, then this could have been quite an even game. But in the end, it was an Ipswich win, but mainly because Hull City were just were constantly getting the ball blocked when they just wellied it somewhere near the 2 sticks. So Oxford versus Ipswich then, what are you thinking? As we always go with your predictions, guys, always go with your lot. So Oxford Ipswich 0-1, 0-3, 1-3 and 0-1. You're all thinking it's going to be an Ipswich win, and it's either going to be 3 goals to Ipswich or 1. I can see where you're coming from. I did say the last game was going to be a 4-1 win. It was a 2-0 win. Got the right result, just not the right score. I'm going to go with you lot again. I think Hull City will score. I'm going to go with... Oxford will score. I'm looking at the Hull City result. It's going to dear me. Oxford 1, Ipswich 3. I think we forget this and move on to Leicester versus Sheffield United, shall we? Now, we're obviously going on to those Saturday games. We're going to a 12:30 game. Now, Leicester City versus Sheffield United. And if you look at the table, Leicester City 15th, Sheffield United up to 21st, and they're not actually that far away from Leicester City now. The league is that darned level, isn't it? Leicester City then lose, draw, win, lose, and they have started playing better football, Leicester City look, but unfortunately, from what I've seen, they have been a little bit gung-ho with their tackling. And here we got Southampton 3, 10-man Leicester 0, with Aluko sent off on 33 minutes. Southampton really ran this one. Now, they started running the games at home. They always have done, but never actually getting some good shots off. It always seemed to be, 70% possession, 2 or 3 shots, and you're thinking, ouch, and none on target. Well, one on target. But here, almost 20 shots fired at target by Southampton. Just over about half of them of Southampton's shots were actually on target, and they got 3 goals. They were actually quite efficient in their gameplay. Southampton, they kept to the plan. Their passing was one of the best of that game week, and they were absolutely brilliant. And they've been brilliant for about 2 games now. They've just seemed to have clicked and suddenly changed. They were absolutely awful before that, but last couple of games, you can see the change in this team. Leicester City, though, they've 2 shots on target in the entire game. They usually make the most of those shots, though. 2 shots on target. I can imagine Leicester getting one of those in the net. They didn't. It was Southampton 3, Leicester 1. That was the right result, absolutely. And then you get Sheffield United. What a turnaround here as well. Both teams, I think, just turning on the style here. Leicester and Sheffield United. Sheffield United, for me, just turn it on more recently and in a better way, a more efficient way. Lose, draw, win. The derby against Sheffield United 3-0. I don't think that really was a 3-0 game, but, it prompted a really good performance against Portsmouth. Sheffield United 3, 10-man Portsmouth 0, and that Sheffield United side really did run this game. About 2/3 of the gameplay was with Sheffield United. They didn't actually pass it as well as I thought they could do. They have got skillful players. Their passing was interceptable, but this Portsmouth team didn't make them pay for that, and Sheffield United ended up with some really good figures passing wise. Great shots, there were lots of them. I'd say if I'm going to be picky about it, perhaps I would have expected more than 16 shots with 2/3 of the gameplay. They did have a tendency to pass it around in their own half, and when they got over the halfway line, can we get through? No, pull back. But that's the way a lot of the Championship sides are doing. 3-0 to Sheffield United, was that fair? I think it was probably a 2-0 game, 2-1 game, but the right result at the end of the day. Leicester City, Sheffield United, then, these are 2 sides that I think really want to keep this better role going on, isn't it? And I can see what you lot have put me in here. I've got, okay. Leicester City, Sheffield United. What are you lot saying? 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. 1-1. Everyone I pulled up said 1-1. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Leicester City 1, Sheffield United 1. I've gone with you lot. Let's go to the next game, which is the team we've just been mentioning, my local team, Portsmouth versus Bristol City. So Portsmouth are in 20th, and they're literally just 2 points above the drop zone. And this is going to get scary if they lose this one, isn't it? And Bristol City in 7th, and they really are a little bit hit and miss. Bristol City, turn up, don't turn up. Look, a lot of those top sides are not actually winning, but a lot of them are, which means the league's quite level, and you can see here Bristol City have actually been floating around there quite nicely, and I'll go through their last 6 and you'll be amazed that they've stayed up there. Portsmouth, though, lose, draw, lose, win, lose. Win against Millwall at home 3-1. Good win that was. But then Sheffield United 3, 10-man Portsmouth 0. Terry Devlin sent off on 39 minutes there. And that really did make the difference with this game. I think that's certainly when for Portsmouth they suddenly put their heads down with the penalty 2 minutes later for Peck, and that was it. It was just game over. Portsmouth never really got out. 2 shots on target during the entire game. Portsmouth, who the fans around here saying they're playing better away from home, they certainly didn't in that game. That was a pretty poor performance there against Sheffield United. And I don't think that Sheffield United's gameplay was brilliant, but Portsmouth certainly didn't make them pay for it, which is the point I'd like to make on that one. They're playing Bristol City, Portsmouth. Win, lose, lose, draw, win, lose. How are they staying up there? Well, all the other teams are doing the same. So, well, apart from Coventry, of course, Borough have started to lose points. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, that top end? So Wrexham 2, Bristol City 0. Let's have a look at that game. Pretty even, really. And I tell you what, the gameplay here, the passing was brilliant, slick by both sides, I thought. The gameplay was good, the possession was good by both sides. And this was a really even matched game, but in a good way. This was actually enjoyable to watch. I actually enjoyed this one really, really well. Did it come out with the right result, Wrexham 2, Bristol City 0? Hell no. This was a draw. This was a good draw. Bristol City would have been going away gutted that they didn't get something here. They did deserve to get something, absolutely. They had open, clear-cut chances, just like Wrexham did. It's just Wrexham took them. That's the only difference here. Bristol City, I usually say, did they turn up? Did they not turn up? I think they turned up. I think that was a good game. It would be unfair of me to say they didn't. It was just unfair that they didn't get at least a point, wasn't it? So we've got a Portsmouth side that really do need to pull the socks up now. They have to. And a Bristol City side that need to just show that they're not going to get caught out by a game where they get nothing from it, where they should at least have got a point. So they're going to want to turn up as well. They want to keep up there. They've only had 2 wins in the last 6, Bristol City, yet they're staying up there in 7th place, did we say? They're not going to stay there very long if they keep dropping points in this manner. What are you saying then? Portsmouth versus Bristol City. 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, 2-1. I'm going to go with the majority there. I am going to go with you lot. It is a local side to me at the minute. I'm going to go with Portsmouth 2, Bristol City 1. Let's move on to the next game, which is Stoke City versus Hull City. Now, Stoke City are in second, obviously ousting the likes of Borough. And down, where are we with Hull City? In 11th, that's with Hull City. So they seem to have just about started to drop down that league, even though their results on the whole are slightly better than what we expect. Well, a lot better than what we expect them to be. Stoke City then, win, lose, win. 3-0 at home to Charlton Athletic. Now, Charlton, I say they have been playing some good football. They've been getting back that clinical edge, haven't they? And here they just didn't do it, Charlton, for me. 2/3 of possession went to Stoke City. Their possession was great. Their passing of the ball was really slick. I enjoyed the Stoke City football. Their defence was good. It reduced Charlton just 2 shots on target and 1 off and 1 blocked. So you can't get any better a defence than that, can you? As soon as Charlton tried to get through over that halfway line, it was stopped. Don't even let them anywhere near a sight on goal. And it was a really good performance. And up front, 15 shots on at target, 4 on target, 3 in the net. You know, I think that a Stoke City side up there need to be getting more than just 4 out of 15 on target. But hell, they got a 3-0 win. Was that a correct score? Well, actually, I would have expected 4 or 5-0. But it was a very, very good performance by Stoke, and they did just enough to win the game, which, at the end of the day, 3 points is what we want as fans, isn't it? So, Hull City, draw, win, lose, lose. Last time out, it was Hull City 0, Ipswich 2, and Ipswich are starting to show what they can do, I think, and it's... Here they sort of did what I thought they could do. I wasn't sure if they would, but they certainly did. Hull City 0, Ipswich 2, with Ipswich. It's one of those games again where Ipswich were just ahead on the abilities to pass, just a bit ahead on the skill in the game, just ahead on the possession figures, just ahead on the number of shots, and guess what? Just ahead on the number of shots on target. Was it 2-0? Absolutely. It was a good performance by Ipswich, but don't hold back on the Hull City side. This was a good performance by Hull City. They just got, on the day, they just got pipped by a team that were just marginally better all over the field. You know, it was just bad luck. Run of the green on the day didn't go Hull City's way, but it did for Ipswich. So Stoke City versus Hull City, both have pretty much had a similar time of late as far as scores. However, you've got to remember Stoke City's 2 defeats in the last 3 were against Coventry and Leicester. So very difficult games for them to win. And they only lost against Coventry City 1-0. So you've got to remember that. And as I remember, 86 minutes Coventry won that game in. So they almost got a point from them. Against a Hull City side that, their 2 defeats in the last 3 were against QPR and Ipswich. So it's different types of teams that they're losing against, and I think for that reason, for me, I'm going with the Stoke City side. I think. What are you going with? Stoke City, Hull City, 2-0, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Guess what, guys? I'm going to follow you again. I'm going to go Stoke City 2, Hull City 1. It's all down to you, remember, all down to you. Coventry versus Charlton next. Well, we know where Coventry are, in first position. Charlton in 16th. Look, this league's so even. If you look at the Charlton points, 23. I mean, that's 7 points above Sheffield United in 21st. You know, it is manic, isn't it? Just manic. And equally, they if they get 7 points upwards, they get quite high up the league. So it's a very flat league. So Coventry win, lose, win. Ooh, last time out, an amazing game, wasn't it? Absolutely amazing. It was Borough 2, Coventry 2. And I really thought this was going to be a nice 2-2 draw, something like that. But Coventry here just they made a meal of it at first. I think that goal on 14 minutes, and everybody's thinking, right, okay, they're off. 10 minutes and 14 minutes, and you're thinking 2-0 up, they're sailing this one. And then they just seemed to sit back like they did in the game before, and then only when they started to think, hang on a minute, we're sort of we're 2-2. Where did this come from? Did they start to reassert themselves and get back on top? Look, Coventry were on top on the whole, but Borough's passing was amazing. Borough were running this as far as the passing were concerned. They were running as far as possession were concerned. And I tell you what, they weren't afraid of having a shot. They could just never get in a good enough position to have a really clear-cut chance. They had a couple of clear-cut chances, but Coventry managed to blockade that back end quite well, which I've seen them not do that quite so well in other games. In this game, they did a really good job, and they were away from home. So Coventry's defence did a really good job here on the whole, really did. And Middlesbrough, well, they let Coventry in far too often, didn't they? 20 shots from their 40% possession, Coventry. It doesn't matter what you put in front of this team, does it? They're going to find a way through it. So it was an eye-opener for me. I thought that they'd started to look a bit jaded. They did in a piece of this game, but in two bits, at the front and at the end, they suddenly realised that they can't play jaded. We need to get up there and do it. So there is two sides to this Coventry team, but they know when to turn it on. So that was the Coventry game. Charlton then. Draw, win, lose. Last time out was Stoke City 3, Charlton 0. And Charlton really do have to do something, I think, to get to stay in that in that mid-table, which is, I think, where the fans would like to at least see them. Let's just make sure it's a consolidation year now that we got promoted. I think they'll do it. I'm sure they'll do it. Will they do it against this Coventry team? I very much doubt it. Stoke City really did win this one. Hands down. Their defence, that can be brilliant, was brilliant. Their attack was efficient. 4 on target, 3 in the net. Like I said before, they probably would have expected 1 or 2 or more on target out of the ones they shot. But, this Charlton side could have lost this 4 or 5-0 and still come away thinking, well, we did do it. We didn't collapse. We didn't really collapse. It wouldn't have been a fair result, 5-0. But on the other hand, it did show that Stoke City were miles better, and that Charlton just didn't seem to ever get out of their own half, let alone have a clear-cut chance. But they were happy. They seemed to be quite happy in that defence. But, yeah, parking the bus didn't quite work for them. So Coventry City versus Charlton. I think it's a one-way street, this, isn't it? What are you saying? 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 3-0. Do I see Charlton scoring? No, I think they'll park the bus, and I think they'll try and get a 0-0 draw here. And I just don't think it will happen. I'm sorry, Charlton fans. I'm going to go with Coventry 4, Charlton 0. I'm agreeing with somebody down here, though, so don't blame me. Borough versus Derby County next, and Borough are in 3rd, and Derby County are in 8th. And now I like this Derby County front line, and it has been showing signs that it can peg some away, can't it? So Middlesbrough, though, and I'm saying this, all those top sides just don't seem to want to be up there, do they? Middlesbrough, draw, lose, draw, win, draw, lose. Now, okay, you can accept the last one. Borough 2, Coventry 4. We've been through it. Borough came back after being 2-0 down, and a sterling performance there. But, apart from that sort of 10-15 minutes, it was really Coventry that ran it, even though Borough tried to keep the ball as much as it could. It still didn't make any difference. Coventry got the ball off them, had a quick shot, and gave it them back again. I think the game plan of Coventry was just amazing, wasn't it? And Borough didn't have any answer to it. Just didn't have any answer to it. Coventry there with 20 shots against them. So the Middlesbrough side can be up and down. It really can. A draw against lowly Oxford, for instance, 1-1. Any really good, a draw against Wrexham 1-1, and then you go to a side like Coventry where people are thinking they're going to get slaughtered, and it, at one part in the game it's 2-2, and then they lose it 4-2. It can be a very differing game of football, that, can't it? So we're going Borough Derby, and if we go to the Derby games, it's win-win, win-win, lose-win. And they have been popping those goals away. They have been scoring. And I've been saying that, that first defeat for Matos, isn't it? And this is one of those things that I'm looking at and thinking, new manager, are Derby going to be hit by this new manager bounce? They were. They were, in the style of football that Swansea played was keep the ball, just keep the ball, just keep the... But they did bugger all with it. They did get in the other end, absolutely. But they only had 4 shots on target in the entire game. 1 in the net, Swansea. Keeping the ball didn't... if you don't do anything with it, what is the use apart from getting 0-0 draws? Derby County won this one 2-1, 27% possession, 13 shots, 5 on target, 2 in the net. That's how you do it. And that's as simple as it is. Derby County made sure that thought of 74% possession for Swansea wasn't going to hinder them, wasn't going to fluster them. They didn't get flustered. That's one of the key things here. And I think it's important to say Derby County didn't get flustered when they were really put up against a side, 74% possession. They kept at it and kept at it. And the Borough side will give them exactly the same problems. So Borough versus Derby, thinking about that as far as Derby can do what they did last time against a side that's trying to frustrate the hell out of them, they can actually keep their cool. And they've been doing really well against a Borough side that's going to make them try and play in the same sort of manner, keeping the ball and frustrating the hell out of them, but haven't been doing as well. Borough Derby 1-2, 0-1, 1-1, 1-1. None of you are actually going with a Borough win. I'm actually going to go... I was going to go with a draw. I've changed it. I'm going to go with a Derby win. I'm going to go Borough 1, Derby 2. And we go to the next game, which is Millwall versus Southampton. And Southampton, they've been doing really well recently. They've suddenly started actually trying to place the ball in the net instead of just firing it. Millwall in 4th. Southampton now up to 13th, and will it be unlucky for some? Millwall win, draw, lose, draw, win. Oh God, so start again. Win, draw, lose, win. You can see this side is all over the flaming place, isn't it? Millwall 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. They waited till 71 minutes to get a goal here. Millwall, their accuracy is pants, isn't it? They had loads of open chances, open net, clear-cut chances, fluffed every one of them. Really good passing, though. Really good passing. It just wasn't into the right area. Well, it was. They're shooting. The final ball was great, but their actual final shot was garbage. 24 shots for Millwall, 8 of them on target, 3 or 4 clear-cut open net chances, and they win 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday, though, it was as good as 50% possession when you're looking at the actual replay. And they weren't out of it. They weren't ever really in the game, but they certainly weren't out of it, and they certainly kept trying and kept pegging at it. And 11 shots and 3 on target. They could have easily drawn this game. Really, really easily drawn this game. They would have been quite frustrated they didn't get a draw here. Southampton, though, lose, win. 2-0 win against QPR, 3-1 win against Sheffield Wednesday, 5-1 win against Charlton. Is this where things change? 3-0 win against Leicester City, 8 goals in 2 games. That Leicester City game, though, was a little bit different because it all went pear-shaped for Leicester on 33 minutes when Aluko got sent off. Southampton 3, 10-man Leicester 0. Did it make a difference? Hell yes, it made a difference. Leicester suddenly lost the plot. 2 shots on target in the entire game. It just handed this one to Southampton. 61% possession, 18 shots. I think it might have been even more than that in real terms. I don't think we're counting everything. 8 of them on target, 3 in the net. They might have been thinking, we could have got 4 or even 5 here against the Leicester City side that were just lackluster, weren't they? Did he deserve 3-0? Should have been more than that, shouldn't it? So a Millwall side that is just not quite ticking, a Southampton side that just seems to be absolutely roaring at the minute. Being next to the Portsmouth fans, I don't really want to be saying that. But unfortunately they are. Millwall versus Southampton, what are you saying? 1-2, 1-3, 0-4, 0-2. You know, I can actually see that 0-4 happening, but I think Millwall will score. I'm tempted to go with 4-1 to Southampton, but I'm going to go with your scores again. I'm going to go Millwall 1, Southampton 3. Side bet on 4-1, perhaps. Norwich City versus QPR next, and QPR are in 12th. Norwich City are in 23rd. And Norwich City are pretty dull at the minute. That's probably the best way of putting it. Lose, draw, lose, draw. Last time out, a Norwich 1, Oxford 1, 90 plus 5 minutes equaliser there by Oxford. And this game was, sort of bottom 6 performance. 10 shots on target in the entire game, about even between Norwich and Oxford. Shots at target, most of the shots that either team made were blocked. They just didn't seem to. Neither of them really wanted to lose this game, and it seemed to be let's just put everyone behind the ball. When we get it, we'll try and zoom up the other and just have a quick shot. Which is why there were about sort of 13, 14 shots at target from both sides. Only 4 or 5 on target from both sides, and you're thinking neither of these teams really wanted to lose it. Neither of them did lose it in the end. That's about as much as I can say. That was a game not to watch. QPR then, lose, and people are thinking, they're not doing well here, are they? Lose, draw, win. A good win against Hull City. I think that was a decent performance. But Blackburn, I think, was probably the game for me. Blackburn 0, QPR 1. And I thought QPR did just enough to win this one. Blackburn passed the ball better, tried to keep the ball and tried to get the better of the possession. And they did on the whole, but if you're going to keep possession and only have 1 shot on target, then it shows you where that ball's being passed, doesn't it? You can't do it. QPR made them pay, and it was just a case of, this was probably as dull as the last game as far as shots on target. 1 shot on target for Blackburn, 3 on target for QPR, and QPR win it 1-0. But I will say this, QPR were getting up there and getting in a position to try and shoot, and 50% of the times they could have shot, they did, and 1 in 3 of those were actually on target. So it wasn't a complete disaster. I'd say it was better for QPR in this game. Did they deserve to win 1-0? Probably did. There was a couple of clear-cut chances from both of them. On a different day it would have been 1-0 in the other direction or 1-1, but it certainly wasn't going to be anything more than 1 goal each as far as number of goals were concerned. So Norwich versus QPR, what are you saying? 0-1, 1-2, 1-2, 0-0. Now 0-0 sounds very good, a very good bet here, because both of these sides can produce the most amazing dull football. However, QPR can play some good football. They have been playing some good football. I enjoyed the 3-2 win against Hull City at home. I'm just wondering if QPR can turn it on away from home. That last game was away from home. It was a win. Let's see if they can double it up with 2 wins away from home. You're saying 0-1, 1-2, 1-2, 0-0. I'm going to go with the majority then in that case and go Norwich 1, QPR 2. Move on to the next game, which is Sheffield Wednesday versus Preston North End. Now, we have to look at the positions, unfortunately. Leicester City. Sheffield Wednesday are bottom on -4 points, and Preston are 6th at the minute. Sheffield Wednesday lose, draw, lose. Millwall last time out, we've just said Millwall 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Millwall did enough to win this one. Pretty much lacklustre performance. I think that they should have been doing more than 1-0 from 24 shots at target, really. It was a bit like shooting practice for Millwall, but at the end of the day, a poor shooting practice. But Sheffield Wednesday didn't really have anything to respond to them with. However, 11 shots, 3 on target, none in the net. They would have probably been, like I said, disgruntled that they couldn't have got one of them in the net, especially with Millwall not being very efficient up front. Preston North End then. Win, draw, lose, draw. Last time out, Watford 1, Preston 1, and I just think that Watford here showed the fact that Preston they've had a few injuries apparently. So one of my subscribers said that. A couple of them have actually said it. So with that in mind, the Watford side really did make them pay. And they were always on the front foot, Watford. They were always looking like the more slicker side. They always looked more professional, more slick, better passing, better possession. 2 or 3 times as many shots in total from the Watford side. It always looked, even when they went 1-0 down, Watford still looked like they were going to eventually win this one. But they didn't. Watford won, Preston won. Watford would have been absolutely gutted they didn't win this one. But I'll tell you what, Preston, dogged, determined, never gave up. They went ahead, they tried to keep it, but it just wasn't going to work. And then when they went 1-1, they just kept hammering away, we just want to keep this, let's just not lose it. And it worked. It actually worked. But can you do that in all your games? Not in the Championship. It's too level for me. Sheffield Wednesday versus Preston North End then. I've got a feeling I'm going to have to go with you lot. Sheffield Wednesday, Preston 1-3, 0-2, 1-2 and 0-1. I think the Sheffield Wednesday side is going to score. That's the problem. I just can't. I don't know whether. I probably would have gone with a 1-1, but do I go my own score of a 1-1? Or do I go with yours? I'm actually going to go with that one. I'm going to go with Sheffield Wednesday 1, Preston 2. Oh, am I going to pay for that one? West Brom versus Swansea next. Then it's West Brom in 17th, Swansea in 19th. There's 5 points difference here. This is the only bit of the Championship that has a big step in it, really, and looks like keeping a step is that particular bit, or just below halfway. The rest of the 2 halves are very, very level. Before you start shouting at me, West Brom lose, draw, win, lose, draw. And it's another one of those sides that just don't seem to be able to do it all the time. West Brom 1, Birmingham 1. West Brom, it was a 1-1, basically. I can't say any more than that. Look, Birmingham played better passing football. The flow was better with Birmingham. The flow was okay with West Brom. It wasn't bad, but Birmingham's was just better. Everything else in that game was a good top half game. Look, there were plenty of shots, not as many on target as I would have liked. And I tell you what, it was Birmingham who had most of the shots blocked. So Birmingham, had they actually put 1 or 2 of those blocked shots actually at target, they would have been offset by West Brom's shots that were out high and wide, and they might have won this one at Birmingham, but they didn't because they just couldn't get. They were just blasting it at the somewhere goal bound where all the defenders were. So West Brom 1, Birmingham 1. What about Swansea then? Lose, draw, win. Say that again. Lose, draw, lose, 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 lose. Derby County last time. Swansea 1, Derby 2. What a performance. Swansea would have been going away absolutely gutted. I mean, they got their goal on 90 minutes, Swansea. It was 2-0 up to then. And 73% possession to Swansea. 73. We know they can score. 9 shots out of 73% possession, though, and 4 of them on target, 1 in the net. That is criminal. And the amount of passing that they did in their own half, in their own third, was absolutely criminal again. You know, if you're going to have that sort of possession, if you're going to have that great slick passing, do something with it. Derby County made them pay. Simple as. Swansea 1, Derby 2. Now, what are you saying then again with West Brom? Swansea 2-1, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1. That's nice and easy, isn't it? West Brom 2, Swansea 1. Let's get on. And we'll go to an interesting one. Wrexham versus Blackburn. Now, Wrexham have been pushing their luck here, haven't they? But it's been working. Wrexham in 10th now and Blackburn in 18th. If there was ever a game that Wrexham needed to win, it would be this one, because Blackburn, for me, just started to improve. They were down there in the doldrums near the bottom, but they've started to really pick up. And if you want to beat a team that's going to put you back in the bottom half, this is the sort of team that Wrexham need to win, especially at home. Wrexham lose, win, draw, win, draw, win. And last time out 2-0. Wrexham 2, Bristol City 0. Wrexham, on the whole, I mean, it was a pretty average bottom half game, this one. Not really great skill. Look, there was some good skill on the ball look, the passing was good, but it was good because each team allowed each team to keep the ball while they were in their own half. Why not? You know, if you're going to pass it around your own half, we'll let you. We've already covered the game. Wrexham here won it. It probably was a pretty dull draw to me, but and that's about all I can say. Wrexham are going to have to provide a little bit more entertainment and skill in their game rather than just skill of passing it. Yeah, they've got the skill of passing it, but I want to see more footballing skill and trying to get up the pitch and doing something with your possession rather than just passing it around. Blackburn then, win, lose, win, lose. So they are on the upper foot here, aren't they? Blackburn 0, QPR 1, though, was the last one. Paul Smith there getting the winner on 78 minutes. But Blackburn, look, both of these sides were pretty much ousting each other as soon as they got into the other half. There were 1 shot on target for Blackburn because QPR just wouldn't let them have an open sight of goal, and 3 shots to QPR because Blackburn did exactly the same thing in the opposite direction. It was just that 1 shot on target for Blackburn, none in the net. 3 shots for QPR, 1 in the net, and QPR win it. Defences ran this game, and that was the whole story. And if you look at the number of goals scored, 1 or 2 by Blackburn, you can see that it's the scoring that's having an effect on them. The defence I'm not worried about. The striking options I am. When they score 2, they are tending to win 2-1 or 2-0. However, they've got to get 2 to win. Let's have a look then. Wrexham versus Blackburn, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 and 2-2. I think this is going to be that one. I'm going to go with one of you. I'm going to go Wrexham 2, Blackburn 2. And we'll go to the last game, which is Birmingham versus Watford. So Birmingham in 9th, Watford in 14th. Let's see what we think of this one. Birmingham lose, win, lose, win, draw. Last time out, West Brom 1, Birmingham 1. Birmingham coming back to equalise this one, probably rightly so. Birmingham played the better football passing wise. It looked a little bit more skillful, but at the end of the day, both these teams reduced the opposition to just 4 shots on target in the entire game. I mean, that is, if you're a supporter of Birmingham and you're seeing your team only have 4 shots on target in the entire game, it's extremely frustrating. Birmingham the same, 4 shots. Their fans must be thinking, "Oh, come on, we could put more than that on target, surely to God." Both teams pretty much equalised each other out. It was a good game of football on the whole. I mean, a little bit sort of mid-table, but it was a good game of football. I think it needed some energy and some excitement, and there just I wanted a Birmingham West Brom. It's as good a sort of derby case as I can think of. There's lots over there, isn't there? But it just didn't have it. It didn't have it in the end of the day. Watford then, lose, win, draw, win, draw. They've been doing some really good football, and they've been doing some really exciting football and lots of shots and here we weren't upset, were we? 24 shots, 60% possession for Watford. 24 shots, it does actually match the game. 5 on target. Oh, why? Well, 10 of them were missed. And about 8 or 9 of them, I think, were blocked. So they did seem to be just shooting ad hoc, bang, shoot, and it's like it was just shooting practice. And poor old Preston were like, I want to get through to have a clear sight on goal, and they were trying to make sure they could get a clear sight on goal, and just couldn't do it. 3 shots on target for Preston in the entire game. On target, and it was just Watford keeping the door shut at the back and having target practice at the front. Watford won, Preston won. How the hell that stayed as a 1-1, I will never know. Preston really did batten down the hatches, didn't they? And that worries me that Watford, with all that shooting, if they batten down the hatches enough, Watford couldn't get through it. So Birmingham Watford, what are you thinking about that? Because that's interesting to me, that with all those shots, battening down the hatches worked. Will Birmingham be able to learn from that? What are you lot thinking? Birmingham Watford 2-2, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. You know something? I think you might be right. I think that Birmingham are going to learn from that. Look, I think it could be 2-2, but I don't want to sit on the fence. I might even go 2-1 either direction. I'm going to go Birmingham 2, Watford 1. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe if you enjoyed it for more content. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, like and subscribe.